So I'm going to talk about what's going into PHP 8.5, which is coming or due to arrive at the end of the month, especially on the 20th of November. There's going to be a few fancy features going in, called the pipe operator, the new array functions, a very new URI extension, and lots of tiny stuff. Before we do that, let's just check some usage stats. So we are definitely, if we could believe, v3text.com and their stats. Version 8 is quite good on the updates. Version 7 is still heavily used, and if you haven't upgraded to version 8.3, which is I think 8.2 is coming to end next year, you definitely need to make some planning around that. But I think the version 8 updates are also going fine. And Laravel 13 is also going to support 8.3 from next year, so that's something to keep in mind. So in 8.5, it's not a big release. Obviously, it's a minor one, a minor update. So there's still going to show some tiny cool features like the pipe operator. So previously we could do something like this, where we could, let's say, have a string and we could trim it, we could lowercase it, replace a word in it, and just uppercase it back. That's quite tedious. If you want to use that, you can also use variables to do the same thing, but it's still something which is not really nice. In Laravel, you can use something like this, where you are using the string helper with some builder functions, and that's definitely nicer, and it's definitely a way how most people is doing it in the Laravel applications. From 8.5, there's a new a pipe operator, where you can do something like this. So when you are running the application, that's basically this part of the code. Now it's just doesn't really show it, but it's basically with a line and an arrow how you can build up the pipe, and you can set a string and you can pass the string functions into it. And you need to also pass the previous one, the previous part of the code. So whatever translated as a string, you just basically passing towards the pipe. You can also use anonymous functions to do things which probably not be available as a generic function, like str replace, where you definitely need to have. You need to pass the some more attributes into it. And you can also use it as a method as well. So let's say if we have a method which returns a string, you can also pass that method into the pipe operator. And you can also do that with, I haven't on the test. So that's hello. This one is for shuffling. So you can also use it with a variable. I think this is a nice addition. It's a bit sad that you can only use it for strings, but I think that's a way forward. What it was to me really hard to get used to it is how it looks like. It's a bit less PHP. This is coming from Elixir and I think F#, but yeah, I think you can use it, and if you don't want to use it, or you need something more robust, then you can still, and you're using Laravel, obviously, you can still use the string helper from Laravel. There are two new array functions. So previously, you had to write a function which could access the first element of the array and the last element. Now we have dedicated native functions for that. So if you have an associated array, you can also access that, and it doesn't need to be anything specific to add to it, to just access the first and the last element. And for empty arrays, it will just return back with a null. So that's also handled. We also have a brand new URI extension where you can basically grab a URL in any format. So it could be absolutely wrangled, or the characters could be denormalized, which will automatically normalize it. So if I run this, it will build an object which contains the scheme, any username or password passed, the host, the port, the path, the query, and any fragments, which is quite useful. You can do things with it, so you can, for example, remove the default ports from the URLs. You also get some built-in functions. So this one returns back with the normalized URL, and the other one is the raw string, which was passed to the original constructor. If there's an error, it also shows an exception or throws an exception, which can be called. But if you don't want to catch it, then if you go down, just let me just hide everything else from here. It's from here, so let's keep it this one. So this one is, I think, are there still any echoes there? No, that should be at the error. So there are no errors because it's invalid. Let's see, just make something invalid. It's not working out. Anyway, it should pass all the errors into the errors variable by reference, which is a very strange thing. But that was the unwise choice and the best choice for this one. So it will populate the. Oh, actually, this is why I haven't used it. There you go. Okay, so it populates the errors array with some values about the error itself, so you can handle it without trying and catch the function. There are two things in closures which go into. So let's say that we have this sample data, which is a bit dodgy, and we want to fix it. So before that, we probably wrote a function. If we had to use it, an anonymous function, by passing the function itself, and it could just recursively call itself. There's a new method inside the closure class now, which will basically just access itself, so we don't need to pass it anymore, and it could be quite useful because it just minimalizes the code, so we don't need to pass this part and that part. We can just get the current from the closure, and if we run it, then we get exactly the same result, and it's quite nice. There's also constant expressions, which I, to be honest, wasn't able to run, but I show you how does it work. Probably it's something which just went into it, but it just doesn't run. It shows an error. So now, with this one, you can place a self-contained static closure directly into the attribute arguments or the default parameter values, instead of having to define separate helper classes or factories. So there's an example here. You can declare a normalizer for a property right next to it. So we have a transform attribute what we can pass next to the property. And you can also apply it, but this part just didn't work. Probably I have an older compiled version of PHP 8.7, 8.5, or in the future. There's this PHP ini. You're probably familiar with it, but now there's also a PHP ini def, which will also going to show you the differences which has been updated in the ini file compared to the original default settings. That could be quite useful if you're looking for something strange and you're not sure about what are the settings. There are some changes how to handle the fatal errors. So now we have a backtrace. If we check that, for example, in previous PHP version, that's 8.4, it returns back with the call stack and the fatal error itself. But in the new version, it returns back with the stack trace here, and actually duplicates it for me. I'm not sure why, but this is how it looks like. So this could be also really handy. And there are some nibbles as well, some tiny bits. So opcache is now officially part of the PHP itself. It's no longer to be bundled as a separate extension. We can use the override attribute on properties and the deprecated on trait. There's a new max memory limit in it directive. So basically, you can set the memory limit. You're probably familiar with that. You can also set a max memory limit now, which means if the max memory limit is higher, that's going to be the top. So you can override it by an ini set from the code. But if you define a ceiling, you just can't go over that value. So in that case, the maximum limit is set to 256, and if you set to 300, it will drop you a warning about the fail to set the memory limit because it has been already maximized with the max memory limit configuration. There's also a new addition to the int list formatter, so that's basically you can create list into human readable format if they are using AND or units. So this one you can just set the locale and it will automatically convert it to the right text string. We also get new exception handler and get error handler functions, which is strangely earlier you could just set them, but you couldn't access them. But now you can use the get error handler and you're going to get back the function which was set for the error handler and the exception handler. We also now have build date constant. So previously you could use the PHP version, the PHP version ID, but there's also build date. It could be useful maybe for debugging or just make sure that you have the correct version in production. The clone, which was previously just a standalone keyword, now acts like a language construct and accepts an optional second argument. So for example, if you have a class and you have the property in it, you can now clone it and you can be more specific about the property inside and you can override it, but that's just a very simple example. setCookie and setRowCookie methods now accept two additional attributes, secure and partitioned. This is related to chips, which is not about fish and chips, but the cookies having independent partition state. You can read about on mozilla.org about how they work. I'm not going into details. And finally, there's a final property promotion. So now you can use final on properties what you set in the classes. There are some deprecations as well. So earlier you could use a comma in the case now that's going to be deprecated, but basically that was very handy or generic in old code bases, so we probably haven't seen that for a while. There are the old cast names like integer, double, boolean, and binary is going to be removed from the code. So hopefully you haven't used any of them. If yes, then start to upgrade it and think about ints, floats, bools, and strings. The backtick operator is deprecated as well. So instead of echo, who am I, which is supposed to be a backtick, but there's a very strange issue in PHP Storm and just can't escape the character backtick. So that should be an echo backtick, who am I backtick. Now you're forced to use shell exec, but I don't think, except WordPress plugins and WordPress, anyone is really affected or hit by this one. Using null as an array key in array keys as this exists is also deprecated. Sleep and wake up deprecated for serialization, so you do serialize and unserialize. Read declaring constant now emits a deprecation notice. That was previously silently filled or overrode. And the read directory, run directory, close directory now no longer accept null as a directory handle. So you also need to set them. And yeah, there are some PDO constants which, like for example, MySQL attribute use buffered carry and co. Instead of that, just try to use the PDO subclasses introduced in PHP 8.4. When is it coming out? Currently, I think the last release was on, it's already there. It was 6, so it was like 6 days ago. That was SC4. I think that's going to be the last release before the general release, which is planned for at the moment, the 20th of November 2022. And if you need to upgrade now, I would suggest to just wait and plan for it. But definitely keep in mind that PHP 8.2 support is going to but starting PHP 8.1 support is going to end by next year, January. So if you are on PHP 8.1, I suggest to upgrade to 8.3 or 8.4 as soon as possible. And there are some take-home links and also a QR code for all the code which I just shared with you right now. And I'm also the co-organizer of PHP Tamas Erdelyi, and we are looking for speakers for January. The next meetup is going to be hosted in Reading. So in case if you are interested, just let me know. Thank you.